Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and as always, I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very, very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And please continue to stay safe and be well during these times. Today, I'd like to continue on with a discussion or a video a day that is in keeping with the spirit of Halloween, October 2020. So in that spirit, I am talking about a film or a TV series that in one way or another I feel has some kind of connection with the current season of Halloween. Maybe a horror film genre connection, maybe a suspense thriller type of connection, or something along those lines. Today is a film that I think fits in very nicely into these categories, especially the suspense thriller element to it. It is also a film that is so much fun and very inventive and colorful and alive and filled with so much cinematic energy. It's a film that it would be a great honor for me to sing the praises about, because it is indeed one of those delights of cinema. This is from 1965, and the name of the director is Raja Nawathe. This is the film Gumnaam. Gumnaam is the word that I understand can be translated into English as not known or unknown. And this is a Hindi film, so it's a film from Hindi cinema, which is oftentimes referred to as Bollywood or Bollywood cinema. This is a film that has a lot of great musical numbers, and it has a great cast. And before I get into those specifics, let me say that as a story, and it's a really fun, compelling, exciting, sometimes even very scary and moody and atmospheric story. The story is oftentimes described as being based off of the novel by Agatha Christie, which goes under the title And Then There Were None. So this film, although I wouldn't call it a super close adaptation of And Then There Were None, I would say it follows the storyline fairly closely, although there are a number of variations along the way. But in essence, it is the story of And Then There Were None. So what we have, therefore, is a cast of characters that through certain series of circumstances are found essentially stranded in the middle of nowhere, and they are left in this huge mansion house, and one by one they succumb to a killer or murderer. So who could the killer be? That is the essence of the mystery suspense element of this film, Gumnaam, as I say, from 1965. This is a utter delight of a film. There are some mystery suspense elements to it. There are some moments of sort of on-screen violence or threat or menace that could be somewhat scary or a little bit or a lot suspenseful. And so I think it has that going for it in terms of a vibe or a feeling or atmosphere that I think is in keeping with October 2020. It is also very fun. It is very delightful and almost celebratory in its cinematic energy. Its cinematic energy, I would say, comes from a number of sources in the film. First is the dazzling cinematography and camera work and color that we see alive and vibrant on the screen. We see a lot of great setups. We see a lot of moody atmospheres. Smoke and shadows are employed, but also bright colors, reds and blues and purples and greens are being used in the fashion, in the environmental decor, and also in some of the set pieces, such that it could almost be said, or I think it can be said, to have a very engaging, almost psychedelic feel to a lot of the aspects of the film. So that gives the film a sense of life to it, which I think is very important. Another place where I think this has a real great sense of energy is in the music as well, because as a film of Hindi cinema, the music score and the songs and the performances become a very integral aspect of this film. And so we get a number of great musical numbers and dance numbers, which is helped along by the great cast as well, which I'll get to in a second. But I think the famous, or one of it has a really famous set of songs, for example, but perhaps the song that is often cited as being one of the great highlights of this film and also of Bollywood cinema during this period in terms of the musical numbers is the song Jam Pehchan Ho. And this is a number that appears at the very beginning. It is so alive, it is so resplendent, and it is filled with a lot of great dance detail and excitement, and the music is alive and just bubbling with energy. And this also made an appearance, for those of you who know the film Ghost World. At the very beginning of that film, in terms of the title credits, you'll notice that there is a reference made to a particular song and dance number. And in fact, that song and dance number is indeed the Jam Pehchan Ho song and dance number that we see at the start of this film, Gumnaam. So there's an interesting connection there for any of you who are Ghost World fans. But going back to this film, that is one of many numbers that populate the film, that really give the film a drive and energy and a real lovely style that is a great contrast in many ways with the grim proceedings of the mystery suspense thriller, which is another way to say that this balances different tones so well. The lighter fare and the more intense fare. The subject matter, of course, the Agatha Christie underlying story, could possibly be interpreted through other ways. There are other number of other film and TV adaptations that go a really grim route. But this has a beautiful blend of differing tones, thus making it, I think, a wonderful celebration of this kind of a wonderful expression of cinema and music. And I dare say, too, that the score, when we think about the score of the film, there are the songs and then there's also the musical score. The Shankar Jaikishan score, which is so cool. It has this almost a funky jazz feel to it, which adds to the great atmosphere of the proceedings, gives this film a real life and energy and bounce, which make it such a wonderful watch. And I should say also, before I continue, going back to the songs, there is a wonderful and very complex nature in terms of the relationship that is placed between the song and the narrative and us, the viewer. Sometimes we look at musical numbers and they seem to exist outside of the narrative structure of the film. You know, people have a little story that goes on and then they break for a musical number and then they carry on with the story once the music number is finished. That is a general trend which is not inconsistent with this film itself, which is great, by the way. But also, in conjunction with that, there's also a great interplay, a separate kind of interplay between song and narrative, such that for one song in particular, it becomes a really integral part of the mystery and propelling the mystery forward. There's one song in particular that is used to great effect throughout the film and helps to elevate the sense of mystery and atmosphere and kind of gothic feel, which really helps the story along very nicely. So that is the musical aspect of this film. And I should say also that the cast is really quite excellent. It has a number of cast members. Many of whom are very, very famous in the world of Hindi cinema and of Bollywood cinema. So we have Nanda and Helen and Manoj Kumar, and also Mehmood and others. And they bring a great sense of style and charisma, and also comedy in some aspects, a lot of really great physical comedy, as well as some interesting interplay in terms of dialogue, most of which probably goes over my head, but in terms of what can be captured with the English subtitles that we find, it seems like it's a very clever, there's some clever wordplay going on as well. And also the cast really adds, as I say, a wonderful sense of joyousness. Some of the dance numbers and the physicality of the cast, I think, work really well. And there is a lot of physicality in terms of dance, in terms of physical comedy, but also in terms of real heft and presence when trying to push forth with the serious or the dramatic or the scary or the atmospheric. So there's a lot going on with the acting and the acting choices that all the actors are engaged with. So it is a fantastic cast of characters, and there are some wonderful dance numbers to boot. There are some great moments. Helen, for example, gives some wonderful dance and acting moments that I think really help this film become such a memorable film that it is. So, and that's just one example of a great tapestry, if you will, that is helped along here. So with that, my friends, I should repeat and conclude that this is a real treat. This is an absolute treat of a film. It works on so many levels. It is an atmospheric mood piece that is gothic. It can be a suspense thriller. It's a film that also has beautifully applied touches of comedy. And also there's song and dance that has a celebratory, resplendent feel. There is a cool, jazzy vibe as well. And there is a sense of a real aspect of artistry and a dashing use of color and camera work that all come together to create this really memorable experience. So this is the film Gumnaam. If you like Agatha Christie, I'm sure you'll love this. And even if that's not your main concern, I think this is going to be such a great time. It's, as I say, so many things at once and then some. So this is the great suspense, thriller, musical comedy, cool drama that is also very vibrant and hot and filled with a lot of energy. This is the film from 1965. The film is Gumnaam. And before I go, let me say that this is the DVD that I was able to get, and I enjoyed it very much. It has English subtitles for me, and I didn't have any trouble playing it on my Japanese DVD player, so I don't think there was any issue for me as far as region or zone locking when it comes to this particular DVD. The back says Eros International, so just in case you're interested with that. I'm not sure as to the availability of this film through other means, unfortunately, so I don't have that information, but I do have this particular thing here, and so which I was able to purchase, I believe, if I remember correctly, through Amazon or some similar outlet of that nature. So in case you're interested, my friends, there is this film Gumnaam. Okay, so that's it for now, and so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Thank you once again, as always, for your time, my dear friends, and cheers.